Morning car lovers, welcome back. Bobby Freeman here, and today my friends we're going to be looking at the Porsche Macan. Now before we start I must explain that it's going to be quite a squinty video today because I forgot my sunglasses again, so apologies if I'm just closing my eyes, but if I open them I may well go blind. So this car originally came out in 2015 and it basically blew all of Porsche records with regards to new car orders. It was monumentally successful. I was working for Porsche at the time and it was just like a call center taking orders non-stop. It was just really incredible, and it's really sort of done a lot for the company. And this is its latest incarnation here in 2023, and it's essentially, when you're looking at it, not that different to how it was when it came out in 2015, but there are a few subtle changes which I'll be going through with you in well, a few minutes. Now a lot of Porsche purists, of which there are many, didn't really like when this car came out in the first place. They didn't like that Porsche were moving away from just doing sports cars. However, without it, I don't know for certain, but I don't think the company, it might not even be around. If it wasn't around, it probably wouldn't be doing as well as it was now. So I would say to those people who don't like the idea that Porsche moved away from sports cars, without these kind of cars, you probably, there's a high chance you wouldn't even have the sports cars that you have today. So I think we need to give this little car an awful lot of gratitude and a lot of our time. So let's have a look round it, shall we? Now, as you can see, is it one of the questions you've got to ask yourself, does it look like a Porsche? And it obviously does. I think if you took the badge off, you'd know this was a Porsche straight away. These kind of lights here, the raised kind of area there, which I don't know what you actually call it, the raised bit down the side here, which is indicative of Porsche because they like to, when you're in the driving seat, it's nice to be able to see where the wheels are, because so you can hit that racing apex. And I know it's a little bit geeky talking about that sort of thing, but hey, I am a geek and I do like to get geeky. And I think when we're talking about Porsche, we have to get geeky because Porsche are, it's kind of the geekiest of the sports cars, but those kind of geeks that really do things really well and blow their competition away. So let's have a closer look in here, shall we? We've got LED lights. These are on all the new Macans here. You got beautiful kind of Porsche style, and there's nice scoops around here. Again, nice sort of LED lights down there. Nice front splitter down the front there. Front grille's fairly, this is the Macan S, by the way, so this is the 3-litre petrol, not the turbo or the GTS, so you're not going to get quite as mad and crazy styling as you would do in those versions. It looks like you've got a little front camera there as well, which helps with the parking. Nice Porsche crescent there, which is actually, it's not a label or a sticker or anything, it's actually a proper enamel raised little badge in itself, which always looks very nice. And let's pan around the side now. Usually I don't think this is a great angle from the side. It looks, I don't think it looks quite as aggressive as it could do. Certainly not when you compare it to something like one of its competitors like the F-Base, but it's still, look, you can't argue, it looks very sleek and very Porsche. This one's got the slightly smaller, I think these are 18-inch alloys on this one, but can go up to 21s. And this one's also got the chrome surround here to the windows, which is an optional to have it black as well. And as you know on this channel, I do like a bit of gloss black, but it kind of, I think it kind of works on Porsche because it accentuates that classic sort of Porsche lines. So I think, to be honest, I think you could go for the silver or the black, and this looks equally as good. It's also got the silver roof rails there. Now, roof rails is not something I would ever really use, to be honest, and it's more of a practical item. However, I think on these and on the Cayennes as well, it makes the car weirdly look better. It's also got a panoramic roof, which you can see up there. We'll have another look at that later when we're going inside the car. But as we come around the side here, this is a nice angle for this car, I think, because they've redone. Now, this is one of the major changes from the newer Macan to when it was originally brought out. So you'll notice that they've connected these two lights here with this kind of center sort of brake line on there. Used to be two separate light clusters like that. Now, I actually personally think they could have gone for the same line as the Cayenne, where it kind of comes level with the tops of the lights there, rather than kind of being squeezed here together. But you know, that is quite literally a first world problem. Twin tailpipes down here, and they are real tailpipes. They're nothing fake, because this is Porsche and it is essentially a race car at heart. There we go, twin tailpipes over there, very nice. You can't have this body colour bumper as well. This one's just gone for the black, but again, we get round to the point of the car where it's probably going to be pretty similar to the other side. So we shall move forward and explore the boot. Now you're probably wondering to yourself, where is the button? How do I open the boot? How do I do this? Well, they've sneakily stuck it away underneath the rear wiper there. So let's have a look in the boot here. This boot is 488 litres of space, which is actually a little bit less than some of its competitors, but it's still not too bad. You've got a bit of a load lip here, which some people might not like, but to be honest, I've never really worried too much about that. Let's have a look under here. A little bit more storage under there. Not too much, but it's nice to eke out, you know, as much as possible when you're in the boot. A few tethering points here like that. Nice bit of netting there. You can actually, on this one, it's got the air suspension. You can raise and lower the back of the car. Let me go in there. There we go. You can see it a bit better. You can raise and lower the back of the car. You've also got a 12-volt charger over here if there's anything in the boot that needs charging, and that's kind of it. Kind of a nice place to be. I'm not going to get into the back of this one. I usually test it, but I fear that with that load lip, I might actually get stuck, as I am now in my 40s. So then, as for the inside, this is where you're going to see the quality really shine through, because Porsche do not scrimp on the interiors. It feels fantastic. Every single thing just feels brilliant quality, from the stitched leather dash up there to the nice aluminium bits here and the piano black. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Look at the leather here on these seats. It's just fantastic. I hope you can see this through the camera here, but let's start off at the steering wheel itself. Again, screaming quality. It just feels super hyper engineered and just fantastic. Oozes quality. Just every touch just feels like you're touching something, you know, sort of really substantial and kind of expensive. One thing we don't have with Porsche yet is the digital cockpit, the digital dashboard here. They prefer to go for the real needles there, sort of whizzing backwards and forwards, which I kind of like really, because they are sports cars at heart, and also they always have the rev counter right in the middle rather than the speedometer over there. That's obviously a priority when you're driving a sports car. Another really nice feature you've got here, you've got this little kind of roller thing here, which actually scrolls through a little tiny screen which is in the dash there. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit more on that. There we go. So you've got different various like vehicle information, the radio, and it can even, that's the phone, even have your sat nav there. So you can have sat nav there, the map there, and then something else over here. You could have that. There we go. Picture of the internal of the dash, if you should you wish to, and flick and sort of mix and match the two. And I think that's a really nice feature, especially having the map in here. I think that's awesome. Armrests here again, super nice quality. Everything's kind of leather or soft touch plastic. You've got one of the major changes from the old Macan to the new one is this infotainment system. You can see that. You see those buttons appeared as I put my hand near it. Do you see that? I think it did it. You'll just have to take my word for it, or watch the video again. But basically before they had a smaller, there we go, it does it again. So they used to have a smaller screen, kind of about this much. It's really stretched and widened that straight out the Panamera. They've moved the vents from up here, where they used to be, down here, which seems quite low actually, but I guess, you know, you can still direct them to where you want to go. Now down here as well, there's a huge change, well not a huge change, but quite a substantial change. Rather than actual physical buttons on here, which you used to get, it's all gone to the haptic response. So you press things like literally, so it kind of gives you, it's kind of like a sort of a trackpad on a laptop or a MacBook. But I personally quite liked the buttons because when you're going along you can kind of feel without looking, but you know, everything's going to kind of go in that way now. So you've got your you know, so your nice classic sort of gear stick there. I like that Porsche still have a good substantial gear stick. I like to hold on to that. Annoyingly, they don't have it in the 911s anymore. They have gone for a little like sort of like little chocolate bar style gear stick, but again, first world problem. And then you've got all your climate control over here and various different driver options and things down here. You've actually got an off-road mode as well, which is very nice. Hill descent there. This is the lane change assist, and that's your auto start stop off. An excellent button here, my favorite button of everything. We'll come back to that one. This is the stiffens up the sports suspension. This raises the suspension up and down. That turns your traction control off, which you do not want to do if you want to avoid being in the ditch. This one makes the exhaust louder. So let's give it a, I don't know if we can tell from it to, if we can hear it from inside the car. Let's start her up, put the windows down. So let's give it a rev now. I'll see if you can hear that. So, and then with the sports exhaust on, can we hear that? No, to be honest, I don't think that microphone's picking that up at all. That was going to be some great content, but at the end it turned out to be rather mundane. And yeah, as we pan over here, again, more piano black on here. Absolutely gorgeous, smooth, excellent quality. You've always got, Porsche love having the clock up there, which can also be used as a stopwatch to impress your friends when you're doing laps. Not that many people will be doing laps in a track in this, but you never know. Glove box over here, how's that? You know, not too bad, you know, wouldn't fit too many gloves. I reckon about 4 pairs of thick gloves if you're lucky, but again, it is just a glove box. As we come down to the middle, you've got a small amount of maybe put your key in there or something, or a couple of maybe a curly whirly, folded double. A couple of nice cup holders here. You can put your bottle of water in there. A rather small armrest there, but it's not too bad. It's small but perfectly formed, I like to say. And as we look in here, now that is a little bit disappointing. Not much storage space there, but you do get a couple of USBs. What have you got in there? USB-Cs, and also for a SIM card and an SD card as well if you want to put your music on the infotainment system. So then here we are in the back. Again, not quite as spacious as some of its competitors, but again, small but perfectly formed. There is just about enough room for my legs here, and I have pushed the seat quite far back when I was doing that video, to be fair. So I'd say there's ample leg room there. It's kind of quite a cozy place to be. I'll pan round for you. It's not quite as spacious as something like the BMW X3. And if you, by the way, if you want to see my full in-depth review of that, click on the thing up there. But I kind of like it. It's kind of a nice, comfy place to be. The seats aren't, you know, as sporty as the front, but they still feel kind of like they hold you in place as well. So even when you're in the back seat in a Porsche, you feel like you're getting that kind of, you know, sports car experience. Armrest here, if we pull that down, I imagine there's some cup holders in as well. There are cup holders there we go. So a couple of cup holders for your, cups. You can also fold this down as well. So if you're carrying anything long, like a pole, broom handles, fishing rods, etc., you can get them through there. And most pleasingly of all, this one has a panoramic roof. I do like a panoramic roof, especially in an SUV. It seems to suit it really, really well. My son, whenever we drive an SUV, the first thing he says is, has it got a panoramic roof? But you would think he would have more priorities as an 8-year-old than, you know, expecting panoramic roofs. But you know, that's the younger generation for you. In the center console here, obviously we've got the nice air vents here, and then we've got a couple more USB-Cs down there. As much as I don't like them, but I think I've pushed that envelope a bit too far. Also worth mentioning, which I forgot to mention in the front, you do have Bose speakers in this Porsche. You do have an option to upgrade to the Burmeister sound system as well, which apparently generally make sound system for music studios and you know, industry music people. But personally, I think the Bose is, you know, unless you're really, really into music and you really want to, you know, I don't think you'd, unless you're an expert, I don't think you'd really notice that difference at normal levels. So personally, I think the Bose system is more than ample. So then let's do what this Porsche was designed to do and get it out on the road. And as soon as you get behind the wheel, you realise that this is most definitely Porsche. If you weren't sure, you know, even with the styling cues and everything, you just know it's straight away completely different to anything in its class. All of these slightly smaller SUVs like the X3, the Audi, anything you can think of. It's just, you get that kind of feedback through the steering wheel, through the chassis, the way it feels. It's poised and it kind of wants to go. It doesn't feel like an SUV. It does size-wise, but in terms of how the driving feedback, the way it makes you feel, it feels like a sports car. It feels like it's been bred with sports car essence and breeding. Now, another thing I forgot to mention earlier was the drive mode selector, which is actually on the steering wheel down here, which is not dissimilar to the Ferrari 458 I featured in my last video. If you want to watch that video, click on the card up there. And it's just really helpful having it there. You know, you don't have to fiddle about looking down here going, oh God, where's my sport mode button? It's just there, ready to hand. And you can select between individual, sport mode, normal mode. You can put it in manual mode as well, which, because you do have the flappy paddles up here at the gear shifters. But to be honest, as good as they are, you know, I very rarely tend to use them in these sort of cars, because maybe if it was an out and out sports car like the Ferrari, but the gearboxes, particularly in Porsches, are so good and do such a good job that, you know, I don't really feel I can do a better job than them, especially with this double clutch gearbox which you get in Porsches, which I believe came in the generation 2 997 in about 2009, I want to say, and it was a real game changer. The gearbox is awesome. It's phenomenal. It's possibly the best thing about the car. The changes are lightning quick, absolutely rapid. I believe the actual technical German name for it is the Porsche Doppelkupplung, if you want to get technical, and I do. And it's just wonderful. When you kick down, the needle just flies around like this, boom, 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 and it's so quick, and I think it's genuinely a marking leader. I don't think I've experienced any gearbox quite as quick and quite as refined as the one they put in the Porsches. I'm going to pop it in sport mode now. That's sport mode, yeah, and I just put my foot down. and you can probably hear that, and it also puts the sports exhaust on automatically as well when you do that, and it's just like bang, the power is there straight away. People talk about electric cars with power that's instant power. With these gearboxes on the Porsches, it's not far off, even with a petrol engine. But then I can pop it back into normal, and this is the beauty of it. It can switch between. It's two different beasts. It can be a bit of an animal, it's kind of so the Porsche it's supposed to be, but it can also just cruise beautifully. And again, with this air suspension, it's a beautiful, fantastic, just luxurious ride. You feel like you could just drive forever. It's going into a roundabout now. I'm going to throw it round here at a fairly decent speed, and it just corners so flat. The suspension with the air suspension, you'll actually with the Porsche Dynamic Suspension, I believe it is PDS, Porsche Dynamic Suspension, yeah, PDS. I might have that wrong, but it doesn't really matter. You get the general idea. It's a suspension system by Porsche, and it is dynamic. But my point is, when you go around a corner, it will, say you go around to the right, it will stiffen up on the left-hand side to keep you flat through that corner. I sometimes say, when I'm driving an SUV and it goes fairly well around corners, I usually say, I'm not going to be four-wheel power sliding this thing, but you genuinely can in this. I've seen it done on racetracks. You can treat this like it is a race car. You can power slide it round corners, and for an SUV, I think that is unique in its class to do it as well as Porsche kind of do. But it's Porsche, so what would you expect? So guys, to sum up, as you know, I used to work for Porsche, so some people might be thinking, he's got some allegiance to him. Well, I definitely most 100% haven't. I just speak as I find with these cars, and I've always, that's one of the reasons I worked for them. It's because I genuinely love them. And I think whatever position you're in, whether you're in a Porsche at the moment, a sports car, and you're looking to get something a bit bigger, maybe you started a family, this is going to work perfectly for you, because you're going to get that extra space, that extra practicality, but you're not going to lose that essence of Porsche, that sports car breeding, because you can definitely feel it. But even if you've never had a Porsche before, it's still a wonderful, wonderful car in its class, and very unique as well in terms of its styling, the drivability. As I say, you're going to get that sports car essence showing through, and although it doesn't have sort of quite as much storage space as the others, I think it more, personally from my point of view, I think it more than makes up for it in terms of engineering and style and drivability, and it makes it a truly exceptional car, and a kind of really standalone SUV in its class. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. I really enjoyed making it for you. If indeed you did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Press the like button on the video, and if you want to support the show, head over to the Patreon page or click the join button below this video. But until next time guys, I'm Bobby Freeman. Drive safe.